Craziness in Florida. Trump and DeSantis approve child labor due to a shortage of Latino workers. Child exploitation? DeSantis is crazy. Florida is putting children to work. Attention, a new scandal rocks Florida. Get ready to hear a story that seems straight out of a dystopian novel, but is completely real. In the 21st century, the state of Florida is about to take a step back in the protection of children's rights, allowing 16 and 17-year-olds to work full-time shifts of up to 8 hours a day, even at night. Under the leadership of Governor Ron DeSantis, a new legislative proposal threatens to dismantle the labor guarantees that have protected minors for decades. The new labor landscape. Childhood at risk. Until now, state laws established that teenagers could only work a limited number of hours to guarantee their educational and personal development. However, with the new reform, these restrictions disappear. Young people will be able to work up to 40 hours a week, opening the door to possible unprecedented labor exploitation. The official argument for this measure is the shortage of labor, a direct result of the anti-immigrant policy that has characterized the DeSantis administration. The mass expulsion of undocumented workers has left a void in essential sectors such as agriculture, construction and hospitality. And the solution they have found is to allow teenagers to fill those positions. Is this a responsible measure, or are we witnessing a new form of child exploitation? A journey to the past, the return of child labor. To find similar situations, we would have to go back to the 19th and early 20th centuries, when children and teenagers worked in deplorable conditions in factories and mines. After decades of struggle, laws were passed that guaranteed protection for minors and limited their participation in the labor market. One such law, the Fair Labor Standards Act, FLSA, of 1938, established clear rules to prevent child exploitation. With this reform, Florida could be undoing more than 100 years of progress in labor rights. The effects could be devastating. Imminent consequences. Experts warn of the dangers this measure could bring. Poor academic performance. With long working hours, teenagers may not have the energy or time to focus on their studies. Labor exploitation. The lack of strict regulations would allow companies to take advantage of young workers with low wages and poor working conditions. Impact on mental and physical health. Night work and long hours could seriously affect the emotional and physical development of minors. Reduced future opportunities. Instead of preparing for professional careers, teenagers may be forced to accept low-paying jobs with no opportunity for growth. Community reaction. The announcement has sparked outrage nationally and internationally. Human rights organizations, unions and education experts have called the move a shameful setback. Parents and teachers fear that young people will be pressured to work at the expense of their education and well-being. Even economically, the measure is questionable. The lack of investment in education and training programs could have long-term consequences for the state's economy. A labor market that depends on child labor could weaken productivity and economic growth. What can we do? It is essential that citizens mobilize. Public pressure has proven to be a powerful tool in curbing unfair policies. Some actions that can make a difference are: share information about this issue on social media and traditional media, sign petitions and support initiatives that seek to protect the labor rights of minors, demand that political representatives block this law and propose fairer alternatives, support organizations that defend the rights of children and adolescents. The wind carried dust and despair across the southern border of the United States. A group of Latino migrants, their skin tanned by the sun and their dreams clinging to their hearts, waited in a makeshift shelter, fearful of what fate had in store for them. They were men, women and children who had travelled thousands of miles, escaping violence, poverty and hopelessness in their home countries. But upon arrival, they encountered a wall higher than steel, the policies of Donald Trump. The former US president's immigration measures hit undocumented immigrants hard. Family separations, raids in Latino neighborhoods, the cancellation of DACA, and the tightening of asylum were just some of the shadows that loomed over them. Many were detained in detention centers, where inhumane conditions undermined the dignity of the most vulnerable. At the border, a Honduran mother named Maria held her 5-year-old son tightly. They had fled their country after her husband was murdered by gangs. They crossed rivers, deserts, and hostile roads, hoping for a new beginning. However, upon reaching the border, they were separated. Maria was taken to one detention center and her son to another. For months, her only companions were tears and the fear that her son would never recognize her again. Meanwhile, on the streets of New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago, Latino migrants resisted. They marched with banners held high, shouting in Spanish and English that they were not criminals, that they were only looking for opportunities. "We are here, and we are not leaving," was the motto that resonated in every protest. They knew that fighting against a system designed to exclude them was not easy, but the courage of generations of Latino migrants supported them. Jose, a young Mexican man who came to the United States when he was 2 years old, saw his future hanging by a thread with the elimination of DACA. He had graduated with honors, volunteered in his community, and dreamed of being a lawyer. But the Trump administration labeled him illegal and threatened to deport him to a country he barely remembered. He did not remain silent. He joined thousands of dreamers who challenged the policies with lawsuits, protests, and speeches that moved the entire country. But the resistance came at a price. Thousands of families were destroyed, thousands of dreams were cut short, and fear became a constant shadow in Latino communities. Despite everything, they did not give up. The fight continued in the streets, in the courts, and in the hearts of those who believed in a diverse and inclusive America. Trump's term ended, but the scars remained. However, the story of Latino migrants in the United States is a story of resilience. Discrimination, exploitation, and cruel policies, but they're still standing. They continue to work, educate themselves, and contribute to the society that once wanted to expel them. And as long as there is a single migrant, the fight will continue. Share this message. Let the world know what is happening in Florida, and let's fight together for a future where childhood is not used as a substitute for immigrant labor. The future of thousands of young people is at stake.